Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hope Shot Live. Tonight we have our addiction to success and we have a special guest, man. This is what's cool about the internet. I talk about it all the time about the power of the internet, and tonight we have somebody from Northern Ireland. We have Darren is going to share his story tonight with us. It's super cool, man. I'm blown away by the people that we have reach out to us, and that want to come on and share, because we have one thing in common is recovery as a lifestyle, like the journey of it. And we all can relate in some one way or another, no matter where we live. So I'm going to ask Caesar if he would read the clarity statement for us real quick. You have to unmute.
It's going to be the first time that I wasn't totally prepared for that.
And it's the first time that I am.
I know. We're winging it tonight.
Yeah.
The Hope Shot Clarity Statement. We here at the Hope Shot are a group of people in recovery spreading inspiration. We come from all different walks of life and pathways of recovery. Our verbiage may be different at times, but we all have one thing in common: recovery as a lifestyle. We support all pathways of recovery. It doesn't matter how you get from A to Z, just get there. And thank you for being a part of our Hope Shot family.
Thanks, Caesar. I appreciate you. So if you guys are just jumping on, please share this live video. You never know who this story might hit tonight, who might need to hear it. It just takes real quick. Just hit that share button. Come back in here. Let us know you shared it. Put it in the comments. We got Allie on. What's up, Allie? And I know, Caesar, you want to do all this?
Go ahead, man. Yeah, you're already going.
What's up, Joseph? We got Michael. What's up, Michael? Yes, accept nothing less. We got Christina and we got Jamie. What's up, Jamie? Hope everybody's having a good night. And I'm gonna introduce Darren. He hit me up on Facebook. He's seen the Hope Shot and he wanted to come on and share his story. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. So we did a video together, and he kind of like we talked a little bit, and it's asked him to come on, and so here we are. I think it's going to be an amazing story tonight to hear. Somebody from Ireland. We had somebody not too long ago that came that hit us up on Messenger and was talking about finding meetings over in Ireland. I don't know which part it was, but I heard it was hard finding meetings over there. So I don't know what it's like over there, but I'm freaking excited to hear your story, Darren. So thank you for coming on. Hopefully I can unmute you. There we go. So it's all yours, man.
Brilliant, Justin. Thank you so much. You can hear me okay? Just give us a wee thumbs up and just make sure that can. Brilliant, guys. Brilliant. Listen, it's an absolute privilege to be here tonight. It really is. I seen this on Facebook. I was having a wee look around for what's out there. Obviously, the internet has made things a lot smaller in terms of the world. So, I was just like, it would be so cool to do a tour in America internationally. How cool would that be? So I says, I'm just going to reach out. I'm going to talk to Justin and see if I can, get a slot. And here I am, guys. And I'm blessed to be here. Let me tell you now. I'll go back a wee bit and give you a bit of an idea. I know some of you give sort of Justin a couple of photos just of me in active addiction and stuff like that, So I grew up I'm from Northern Ireland. I grew up in Belfast. And when I was growing up, drinking and alcohol was certainly something that everybody did. It was socially acceptable. It was cool. If you weren't drinking, people were looking at you funny, and that was the case with my family as well. And I'll give you an example. I don't know how old I was, but one of my earliest memories of drinking was my mum and dad had went out to the bar for a couple of drinks. And I have two younger brothers, and my mum had asked me to go downstairs and mind the house while they were out for a drink. Now I was probably maybe, I don't know, 11, 10, 11, thereabouts, And they went out. My two brothers were up the stairs in bed, and I went into the fridge. And my mum had a big box of wine, and I got a wee glass, and went in. And there was like I always remember the wee rubber top. There was like a wee rubber top, and I put the glass underneath it, and I tasted this stuff. My God, it just tickled the taste buds and all this sort of stuff. By the time my mum and dad had came back from the bar, I was lying on the sofa, pissed out of my head, blootered. I had pissed the sofa and everything. I was in at that young age. We use the term over here, blocked. I was blocked out of my head. And the next day when I get up, it was a laugh and a joke. Everybody in my family, I remember my uncle coming and saying to me, you didn't see any pink elephants and all that sort of stuff. Nobody actually pulled me to the side and said to me, listen, you shouldn't be drinking at that young age. So it was nearly encouraged from that age. So jump forward a wee bit anyway. I was quite a shy young lad, and I decided to obviously get myself involved in football. And I get in with a cousin of mine who took me to football matches over here. My football team over here was a team called Linfield, and my cousin was involved in sort of soccer hooliganism or football hooliganism, and I got involved in that from a very early age. I was probably 13, 14 when I sort of got involved in that sort of thing, and it was riots, and it was violence, and it was throwing bricks at police and that sort of thing. As I sort of got older, it became, you got involved with this crowd, you got involved in a subculture. It was a football hooligan group. One of the guys who used to run it used to say to us not to wear your colours, so that you couldn't be identified when maybe you were in the other ground and stuff like that. So I got involved in that sort of stuff. And the thing about it was because I was shy, and I wasn't really like that. But as a young lad growing up in Belfast, you nearly had a puff. You nearly have to stick the chest out and pretend that you are into this sort of thing. And bottom line, I found alcohol. Alcohol was something that I drank from a very early age, like I said, and this allowed me to be this guy, this tough nut, this what I thought was a hard man. It was acceptable to be drinking at that age with my older cousins. My older cousins would have went into the wine lodges and got me the beer and stuff like that. I also was introduced to drugs, cocaine, cannabis from an early age as well. At that particular time was probably sort of the late 80s, early 90s. I was involved in what we call the rave scene, and there was a raver, and you mightn't see it now, but at that time I had long hair and curtains, and it used to go behind my ears like this here, and that was the sort of culture that I grew up in. And don't get me wrong, when I look back at that there, I thought it was fantastic. It's only now as an adult I realize, how wrong that fucking was, But yes, so also growing up in Belfast, there was a lot of what I seen as soldiers, army men, military guys walking the streets, because of the troubles and stuff like that. And where I grew up, sort of soldiers were, they were admired, and I wanted to become a soldier. So, cut a long story short, I ended up joining the 1st Battalion Irish Guards. I went into the guards. So the guards, when I went through training and stuff like that there, and I became the guy with the black bearskin and the red tunic standing outside the palace in London. That was my job. I became a professional soldier, and I was really good at that stuff. I was really good at I went on to become a Milan platoon, and I became a sniper in the recce quite quickly, But the thing about it was that I didn't realize is when I was away from my family, what I done was I got into alcohol and that sort of thing. And when I drank, because of sort of my upbringing and stuff like that, I was quite violent. I was quite a nasty piece of work. My tongue, I would have cut you with my tongue. I could have. And the thing about it was, it got to a stage where I would have stuck a glass in your face or a bottle over your head very, very quickly. It would not have mattered to me who you were or what you were. And that was like, I look back on that now, and to my shame, that was so wrong. But the bottom line was that's the truth as I sit here. So got a couple of silly convictions for violence and things like that there. But I went out one night with 4 or 5 lads. We went to a small town in England, and we were drunk that night. And long story short, we get into a fight, and it turned out to be quite a big fight. There was quite a lot of people got involved in this, and I ended up in prison. I ended up going to court. I got a year in prison for being involved in this fight this night, and I got dishonorably discharged from the military. And to be fair, the thing that I remember about that was the shock. I remember the shock. I didn't think that I was going to go to jail. I didn't think I was going to go to prison. And that's exactly what had happened. I'll go back a wee bit because there's a story that I always tell. That was a bit of I call it a 999 God. I had went out. There was another fight one night, and I get into this fight, and I don't remember much about it. But I woke up in a police station, and I woke up in the cell, and literally I was covered from head to toe in blood. I was covered from head to toe in blood. I had no shirt on. I woke up in this cell, this plastic mattress, and I was just covered from head to toe, crusty blood all over my face, all over my body. I was wearing jeans and sort of desert boots, and it was just covered. And when I sort of woke up and realized where I was, I had no recollection. I thought I'd killed somebody. I genuinely thought I had killed somebody. And I banged the cell door, and the big, excuse me, the big police officer came to the cell door, and he says to me, he sort of giggled and he was smiling and stuff like that. And I was like, listen, just tell me what I've done. And he let me sweat it out. And I'll tell you something now. See, when I was sitting in that cell, I never felt fear like that. I never felt fear like that at all. I was afraid, and I was like, Jesus God, get me out of this one. Get me out of this one. So, long story short, anyway, I get out of the cell, and as it turned out, what had happened, and the police officer told me this, he told me that he had arrested me for my own protection. Literally, what I had done was, we were in the fight. There was a fella who had a glass bottle, who had smashed it over my head, and he had stuck it in the face of one of my friends. I had taken off my shirt and had went down to him to stem the blood. And as I was down beside him, it was spurting out all over me. And that's how I ended up covered in blood. Now, I have no recollection of that. Thankfully, they were able to tell me that. So anyway, cut a long story short, I went into prison, as I was saying. I went into prison, and it was shit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was great. It was shit. I did not like it at all. But what they done was, there was these guys that come around to me, and they told me that I had to go to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous because I committed a crime under the influence of alcohol. Right now, I would have went to ballet. I would have went to crafts. I would have went to anything that you told me if it got me out of my cell. So I was like, yes, I will go. I went to the meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that was my first meeting, so to speak. I had no preconception of what Alcoholics Anonymous was. I had no conception of what an alcoholic or an addict was. I had it wasn't even something that crossed my mind. So there was 2 guys who were getting on in years who were in the room in the meeting that night, and basically one of the guys said that he used to drink to get drunk. And even to this day, I still don't see any other reason for drinking alcohol. I just could never work that one out. I never went out ever for just a couple of beers, and it was always followed up with cocaine or all that sort of stuff. That just came along with my drinking. So anyway, I got out of prison, and I came back to Belfast in Northern Ireland, and I got a job in the shipyard. And everybody who knows Belfast will recognise the big yellow cranes. That's where I went back. I ended up working in there, and was doing a couple of jobs in there and stuff like that. I was on great money. I was on really, really great money, and I ended up just drinking. I was doing night shift, and I was on from 8 in the evening to 8 in the morning. 8 in the morning, we were going round to a bar not that far away from the shipyard, and we were having Guinness for breakfast, so to speak. And that was just a normal way of life. That was just a normal way of life for me at that time. But drinking and me just didn't mix. Long story short, I got myself into trouble quite a bit of the time with, over here we use the term paramilitaries. What that really means is crime gangs and people that aren't very nice. They run the communities over here. Well, they did at one point, and they have the power to eject you out of the community. They have the power to fine you, all this sort of stuff. So me, with a couple of drinks in me, I thought I was a big lad. Did a bit of slobbering at people, and I ended up getting put out of Belfast, and I went to a town probably about 30 mile away, a place called Bangor. Same thing happened down there, drinking, drugs. I ended up having an affair with one of the paramilitary's wives, up to all sorts. I just didn't care about me. So anyway, I ended up kicked out of Northern Ireland. I had to leave Northern Ireland. And I went away to Tenerife, which is just off the coast of Africa, for a 3-week holiday with the girl I had the affair with. She's still out there today. And we decided to have a go at making a life out there. When I arrived in Spain, the lifestyle really suited me. I mean, it suited me down to the ground. Over here, bars shut at like 12 o'clock and all that sort of stuff. In Tenerife, in the Spanish culture, or in Tenerife, they have garages and bars and restaurants that are just open 24/7, so you could get a drink at any time of the day or night. It just didn't matter. Now, I had a driving license, and I ended up working for a fruit and veg company, basically, that started at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning. And I was getting, there used to be a wee thing, we used to have a thing over there called a carajillo, which was like an espresso coffee with whiskey or brandy in it. And that was the best hangover cure I ever had. So I would have had 2 or 3 of them before I even started driving you get out and selling fruit and veg and stuff like that. So I was doing this from a very early stage in the day. I worked out very quickly as well that if I was to get to certain bars early, they would actually provide me with alcohol. So over there for a long time, I was drinking and driving, and I really mean that. I was, to my shame, and none of this I'm proud of, believe you me. But I'll tell you a funny story. I was coming out of a bar and getting into the van to drive home. I was just finished for the day, and I had a helper. I had a guy called Fernando who was working with me that day, and we came out into the van, and I had taken off one of the mirrors of the van, and I was trying to reverse up the hill, and I reversed into a police car, straight into a police car, and my God, see the fear of me when I seen what I had done. Now the police officer got out, and he was like this, he was shaking, where I had sort of reversed right into him. But I don't know if anybody knows how the police operate over there, but there's 3 types of police. You got the Guardia Civil and the Policia Local, who basically they're looking for criminals and that sort of stuff. I had crashed into what is known as the Policia Nacional. Now, they're guys who actually were there to go after the bigger gangsters and the crime gangs and that sort of thing, So the guy who I crashed into, who was shaking like this, had actually filled in the insurance forms for me. Now, when I was talking to him with my head down and trying to cover my mouth and stuff like that, because I had alcohol on my breath. But he wasn't a bit bothered by this. He just filled in the forms and let me go on my way. And I'll tell you something, I was I really thought I was getting done for that. Anyway, I'll jump forward a wee bit. That's just sort of part of the sort of the earlier story of it. I had over there. I ended up with the partner over there and stuff, and I ended up having a son who's still over there to this day. He's 19 today. I'm still in contact with him. And literally, when he was 1.5, I went to pick him up. And when I went to pick him up, I was drink driving, and I had brought him back to the apartment where I was living. My ex-partner was working; she was away working, and I had brought my wee boy back to the apartment. Cut a long story short, I fell asleep on him drunk, and literally he was walking about the complex where I was living. Where there's a pool on the complex. All the apartments over there have pools, and he was out walking about the complex. He was down beside the pool, all this sort of stuff. I didn't care. I was just, and that's the frame of mind that alcohol took me to, So there was a guy a couple of doors down from me who literally came into my apartment with an open door. My son at that time was 1.5. He was out walking about. And literally what happened was the guy came in, he grabbed me by the scruff of the neck, and he hit me a big slap in the face and got me out of my drunken stupor, so to speak. And he said to me, "Are you going to look after your son? Are you going to get up and look after your son?" And my answer was no. I didn't care. I didn't care about anybody but myself. Genuinely, it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter about my son. I wasn't bothered. When I sort of came round, realised, had a bit of a fight with the missus, all this sort of stuff for 3 days. That fueled a bender for 3 days. I ended up sleeping on beaches and stuff like that there. I had it was a Monday afternoon. I was going to jump into the sea, and I'd had a couple of drinks before I went down. The last one that I took, I didn't finish. It was, a vodka and coke, and over there they're quite strong and tall. I didn't finish the second one, and I went down. I was going to throw myself into the sea and try and swim to one of the other islands. One of the islands was called Gran Canaria, and that takes a ship 3 hours or something like that there to get to Gran Canaria. And there's me thinking I was going to swim. I wasn't going to make it, and I know I wasn't going to make it. I was going down there to take my own life. That's exactly what I was going to do. I'm not going to lie about that. That's exactly what my mind was at. Very, very savage state of mind. However, I had the number of Alcoholics Anonymous in my phone. I picked it up, and the girl who answered the phone was a previous next door neighbor of mine, and I recognized her voice. She recognized my voice. She's a friend of mine to this day. Still, we're still in contact, even though she lives in Tenerife and I live in Belfast. And she told me that there was a meeting on that night. Now I didn't want to go to a meeting. I was afraid. I was scared. I didn't want to admit that I had a problem with alcohol. I didn't want to admit that I had an issue with this stuff. Long story short, anyway, I went down, sort of took the car off the missus, drunk drove over. I remember thinking, and I'll sort of give my hands, I remember thinking one half turn of the wheel, and I would go into a bus or a lorry, and I wouldn't have to go in and admit that I had a problem with alcohol. Thankfully, that didn't happen. I remember taking my sunglasses off and looking at the sun, and I wanted it to hurt me. I was in a really, negative place, savage state of mind. I drove over, obviously, and I ended up getting into the meeting. That was on the 18th of April, 2005. I walked in there suicidal. I walked in there with snotters all over my t-shirt. I had, been crying my eyes out. I was in a terrible frame of mind. Terrible. I was probably about 10 or 11 stone. I had long black hair. I didn't wear glasses. That seems like so long ago now, But I walked in there. There was a guy standing there, and he took one look at me. He came over, he put his hand around me, and he said to me, "Listen, do me a favor." He says, "Come on in, sit down. All you have to do is listen. All you have to do is listen. Well, I was happy with that. And I sat down in a place, and I remember a couple of things about that meeting that night. Um, there was a guy directly opposite me who was really happy to see me. And I couldn't work that one out because of the state I was in. There was a guy after the meeting with sort of blonde, spiky hair who kept trying to give me his mobile phone number. And he gave me a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And, no disrespect to anybody listening, but I thought the guy was gay. I'm not gay. I thought he was gay. And he was trying to give me his number because he fancied me. This guy was trying to give me his number because he was trying to help me. Like, this was my frame of mind, and this is where I was at, But I get into the meeting and I decided, that I was going to do this with or without, people in my life. I didn't know anybody who was sober. I didn't know anybody who was clean. I didn't know anybody who lived this way of life. Anybody who lived that way of life prior to me walking into Alcoholics Anonymous was a fucking dick or a knob. I didn't want to know them. Keep away from me, you clampet. And that was my frame of mind. That's exactly how I seen it, and I would have stayed an arm's length away from people like that, So when I came in here and found these people were trying to live this certain way of life. There was a 12-step recovery program. The guy who done the chair that night talked about football hooliganism. He talked about, beating waves. He talked about pissing beds, stroking people. He talked about all the things that I could identify with, to the point where I actually thought I had been stitched up and he knew me. I thought he knew me, but he didn't. He had no idea who I was and I had no idea who he was. But because of our similar lifestyles, and obviously he was in quite a way, But the thing about it was, right, over there, I have a, as you can probably hear, I have a Belfast accent, and I was just saying to the lads prior to the meeting starting that I was hoping that people could understand what I'm saying, because over there, a lot of the English people from the UK and stuff like that couldn't understand the word that I said, and I used to say to them that they have to listen faster, because I spoke so fast, But yeah, that was sort of, so when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, there was things that happened. People who done the chair, people were talking about things, about changing their lives. They were talking about trying to live this way of life. They were talking about not taking drugs, not sleeping around, not fucking about, not trying to stroke people, trying to live this way of life that, is good for your mind, good for your body, and this was alien to me. This was absolutely alien. This way of life was alien to me, and I mean that, But listen, I'll jump forward a wee bit. I don't want to go on too long to people about that sort of thing, I will say this: through a chain of events, particularly doing the steps, my ex-partner found my step 4 and 5. I don't know who's on here from the Alcoholics Anonymous, but there's a program you go through and you do certain things. I had left my step 4 and 5, which is, dealing with the wreckage of the past, so to speak. And she found it. And that's exactly why we are no longer together. Took me about a year. I ended up with an injury to a very private area. And I ended up having to go back to Belfast, and that caused me some pain. I can tell you that. I had to leave my son, who at that time I think was about 5 maybe, and come back to Belfast. She stayed over there. My ex-partner stayed over there with my boy. They're still over there to this day. She has remarried, got a business over there, which is great. I'm forever over there, to go and see my boy. I was over to his 18th birthday there a couple of years ago. But the people over there inspired the life out of me. They really inspired me. People in recovery, they still do to this day, but there was people there who talked about going back to school, going back to doing this, this sort of stuff. So I went back. Now, I will say this: I didn't do too well in school. I was a bit of a rocket. I was drinker, drugger, didn't care about education. And when I came back from Tenerife, sober, clean, off the drugs, not doing anything really wrong in a sense, I decided to go back to school. And through a chain of events, I went back and got a degree in my chosen field. I don't mind sharing this tonight. I went back and done a degree in what's called community youth work. I wanted to be a youth worker. I wanted to work with young offenders, And for someone like me who was under threat, from paramilitaries, someone who was in a young offenders institute and in a prison. I today now work with young offenders. I wasn't that long ago, I was working for a restorative justice program that actually worked with young lads, particularly who were under threat from paramilitaries. So when I talk about turning my life around, I've completely turned it around from being, young offender, rocket, absolute header, going nowhere. It was only death or prison was coming my way. And then obviously coming into recovery, that changed the sail on my life. And I mean that changed the sail on my life, and I will be forever grateful for the recovery program and people in recovery. So, today, what do I do today? I work in a restorative justice project for the government. I work with young lads. I get referrals from courts who literally young lads and females as well who have fell by the wayside in terms of the law, and I put them through a restorative process. So I'm a restorative practitioner today. That would, some of my family they don't know that because I can't really tell them. Some of them still live a certain way of life, but recovery to me is absolutely everything. My life is based in recovery. My best friends, everybody who I have in my life, bar my wife, is in recovery. All my friends are in recovery. I don't have any real friends outside of, today, I do service today, and I am what is known as the Prison Convener. I've now got, like I say, just over 17 years in recovery. I'm the Prison Convener. So what I do is I organise and sort out sort of alcoholics to go into the young offender centres to actually carry the message of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm blessed to be able to do that, because I had, a bit of a drug issue as well. I would also go to Narcotics Anonymous if I felt the need. However, I find everything that I need in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm still there. I'm still doing service. Today I have I have a big amends. To make, and it's really interesting that Justin had picked one of the photos that he did that I had sent him. One of the photos is of me and my son, who is now 6. Today with my new partner. I have a son who I was going with a girl in Tenerife after my previous relationship, and I was going with a girl who ended up going back to England. I went back to Belfast. She then found out that she was pregnant. I have a son in England. The photo that you see in the Hope story, in the Hope Shot story of the photos, is that's a major amends in my life. That's a major amends. It took me a long time to build a relationship with that previous partner, which literally was only a couple of months of going together. I now have a relationship with the 3 boys in my life. You're from 3 different mothers. That in itself has been a journey, and I mean that has been a journey. So I'm sharing that because the photo's on there, and that's quite a proud photo for me. The fact that this recovery program has allowed me to go into these people's lives, and I'm responsible today. I'm responsible. I deal with stuff today. I face things today. And I absolutely love recovery. It has been the absolute making of me. And do you know something? It is only a day at a time. I do a wee bit of stuff on the side. I'm not here to promote anything in any way, shape, or form. But I do a wee bit. I've been a bit of a coach and stuff like that in terms of recovery. I also train youth workers to do restorative practice. I do. I just love recovery. None of this would be possible. None of it would be possible without recovery in my life. I'll finish in this. My wife, my wife and I now today are together 10 years. She is not in recovery, but she has picked up the lingo, and I quite like this. Through a sort of chain of events, my wife had to sort of give up alcohol. Not that it was ever an issue to her, and one glass of wine here and there is never an issue. Was never an issue to her, but she had to give it up because of medication she was on. And she said to me that she wanted one of the wee coins that we get. I have a 15-year coin and a 10-year coin given to me by a really close friend of mine. And she wanted one of these wee coins. So I was sharing this in the meeting, and somebody bought me a 1-year coin for my wife, and I handed it to her, and she was overjoyed. She still has it to this day. She calls her best friend her sponsor, which I think is hilarious. So she's picked up all this lingo from me, and she'll say to me, like, I'll give you an example. She loves different TV programs to me. I don't like watching the stuff that she likes to watch. So she would say to me, any of them wee meetings on tonight? I think you maybe want to go to one of them wee meetings. She's also very quick to point out that if I'm, maybe not in a good headspace, maybe about time you got one of them wee meetings. So she's really picked up the lingo and really, so it's life today is 10 times, 100 times better than it was when before I get off the drink and stuff like that, but it is a day at a time, guys. And I think, I don't want to talk too long, so I just want to think I'll end there, Justin, if that's okay. And thanks very much for listening to me and again, like, having me on, guys, and as I keep saying over here, keep coming back.
Awesome, man. Darren, it's thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking the time. It's what time is it, man? Where you're at?
It is 25 to 2 in the morning.
25. That's some dedication right there. Staying up to get on here, and I just appreciate you, following through, because you could have been sleeping, but you want to come on here and share your story of addiction to success. That's what it's all about, man. Worldwide, 100%.
International, man. International.
Darren, thank you so much. I can relate and identify with so many things in your story. I'm going to read some of the comments and put them on the screen just so you can see what some of the people said. But I definitely, it doesn't matter where you're from. The story of recovery is the story of recovery. I identify with you, the tough guy that's full of fear. You described me with that. Externally, I was just a tough guy. Internally, I was a scared child, and you very eloquently put that into your story, and I appreciate it, because we have to be vulnerable with the people in the audience so that they can feel comfortable sharing the same feelings and everything that we do. So you did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
So let's see what we got here. I got to go back. There's a whole bunch of them.
I can't see any. I can't see any comments.
I'm gonna read them out loud for you.
He's gonna put them on screen probably too.
Probably.
I don't know.
Probably, Justin.
It's your deal, bro.
It's not. There's so many comments. I got to go back. So
it's Caesar take the wheel.
It says, I love it. And the accent is everything.
And, believe you me, when I was in Tenerife and all the English girls know, I took full advantage of this accent. So I'm not going to lie about that,
Oh, well, it's very popular in the United States. I told you I had a friend, Maurice, from Belfast, and he never had a problem getting a date with that accent. I'll put that out there.
Yeah. Doesn't work in Belfast, but you know what I mean? It doesn't work in Belfast. So.
No, just like an American accent in America is not very cool.
Nope, not at all. Not a lick.
What is this one here? Haven't gotten into fist fight since I quit drinking. Go figure.
Hey, Helen.
Thank you. We've got Amy. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Darren.
Thank you, Amy. You're
commenting, Amy. Appreciate you. And let's see, Helen again. Love listening to you. My aunts and uncles all speak with a brogue.
Thanks, Helen.
And then talking about the night shift, we got our buddy Dustin on here. He said, same. He wouldn't trust myself to work a night shift anymore.
Yeah, no. That night shift, something else, man. I'll tell you right now.
I don't think I've been up this late since I was drinking.
It's true. It's true.
No, that's it.
We old now. Like you don't see these times anymore. Staying up to 2:00 in the morning.
Darren, we had somebody that came on here and they said, these days I have a house time. It's not my bedtime. It's a house time that I got to be in the house and be getting ready. I don't stay out late anymore.
Yeah, I'm a
So
same.
let's see,
I'm up
we
early
got
in the morning.
people checking in from all over our country. We've got Jessica sharing from Indianapolis, Indiana. We've got, is this Michael?
Yeah, it's Michael. Yes.
I'm trying to make sure.
What's up, Michael?
Saying
Hi, Michael.
hello from Georgia. Hello, Michael.
Georgia.
We've got Casey from Oklahoma saying hello.
Oh, hello, Casey.
And is this Trish? Great testimony. Is that Trish's handle on that one?
That's Allie.
Allie?
Allie.
Okay.
Allie, that girl.
Allie, that girl says great testimony.
Thank you.
Oh, I like this one. Amanda says sometimes that one call is what ends up being life-saving, and that was that phone call for you. And you know, that gave me goosebumps when the person on the other end of the line was somebody you knew. Like,
you see that girl? She called me on my 15th sober anniversary, and I burst out crying because it just brought me right back to that moment with her voice and her accent. And that was a powerful thing that really happened that day, and you know, I'll be forever grateful for that.
It's funny. It's like triggers. You know what I mean? Triggers that bring us back to that the moments, like deja vu almost, you know, but on a backwards deal. But like, but it's reminders that we need, man. And it just makes us have even that much more gratitude for recovery, for the journey, for the destination that we're on, you know, not the destination, but the journey of it, you know, the walk, you know, through this whole thing. And, you know, I need those reminders too, man, that lets us know that we're on the right path, you know?
Yeah.
Just like,
100%.
I think it's really cool. Like we were saying with your wife, man, with the 1 year medallion and like the lingo, and I wanted to comment on that because it's like the ripple effects, man. It's the ripple effects that we have in our lives, either positive or negative. And you could read some more comments in a minute, but I wanted to just discuss some things real quick. The ripple effect, you know, the positive and negative, man. We could be positive with the ripples or we could be negative with the ripples. And that's something that like sticks with me big time. Just like with your wife, she's not in recovery, but what you've done is taken, worked on yourself, done the work. And now it's just trickling out to all facets of your life and all the people that you would come in contact with and all. That's how we spread this thing. Like, you know, or we could spread our freaking disease of our, you know, retardedness of drinking and using and how we affect people that way, you know?
Selfish destruction.
Yeah.
Savage state of mind. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
I thought that was a really cool story. I'm glad you ended it with that story because that's the money ticket right there.
Yeah, that's it. Thank God she's a flipping blessing in my life. I'll tell you that now. She's an absolute blessing.
Yeah.
You're on with two other guys that have got much better wives than we deserve. So
way better.
We're all in the same boat. We're extremely blessed.
I'm just waiting for her to wake up. You know what I mean?
I just want to do a few of the shout outs. So we got Nikki checking in from Georgia. We got Heidi from Wisconsin. What's up,
Heidi?
Thank you for checking in. Amanda, you're doing phenomenal, Darren. So, you know, bravo, brother.
Thank you, Amanda.
We've got, thank you for sharing. That's Jamie. Oh, we got, I'm live in Colorado. Amy, thank you for checking in from Colorado. I love, you know, we're a couple guys sitting here in Florida. I just love seeing all the different states, sitting here with a guy from Northern Ireland. You know, it's the reach of this message it gives me goosebumps every time that we do this.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's connected. It's the connection, man. That's what we need to thrive this thing.
They say connection is the opposite to addiction.
Boom. That's my favorite. I love it.
And that's 100%. That's 100%.
So yes, Amanda says, yes, we are warriors. Everyone in recovery has an amazing story of hope and so inspiring. And absolutely, everybody can stay in recovery. One day, 1 month, 1 year has a message of hope that they can share with somebody that hasn't found that first hour or that first day.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a convention for Narcotics Anonymous a number of years ago, and they had what's called a clean time, where there was, the longest guy sort of off drugs, and then it went right down, all the way right down to a guy who was there that day, who had used that day. And I remember the whole room, 300 people singing to him, "Keep coming back, keep coming back." And I see the goosebumps in my back, honest to God. I don't have hair now, but if I did, it would be standing on end, man,
Listen, that's super powerful, man.
Oh, it is. Unreal.
Those countdowns are powerful because you get everybody, and it's just showing the hope, man, the all of it, man. That's powerful, and to bring that one dude up, man, that just got there. You know what I mean? That's exactly what this whole thing is about, man. It's us reaching our hand back out and carrying reaching a hand back out and lifting the other one up. The one that just got here, the one that just has 1 day, 1 hour, 1 minute, whatever that looks like. And, that's why it's important to recover out loud too, man. Doing this right here,
Reach out. Yeah, reach out, man. Go and speak to somebody, get the arm of someone.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. You see that one? Sorry.
I like Dustin's.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Not all heroes wear capes, and you're living proof of that, man. Thank you, Dustin, mate. Thank you.
And then let's get Tiffany up here. It's amazing the new doors we open for ourselves through recovery. It is so cool you got to find a new space to use your experience and help other young men. And truly, I mean, you'll know the line, Flimsy Reed proved to be the powerful hand of God, and we get to be the vessel today that the hand works through and pull the next guy out. And, we've taken the recovery coach trainings. We do everything we can as far as the Hope Shot goes to do exactly what you're doing, to turn around and help the next person. It's not about fame. It's not about ego. It's about hoping somebody hears a message of hope, whatever pathway, whoever the speaker is, whether it is 12-step, whether it's something else, that if they can hold on to something and we can spark something and they can find recovery.
When I worked I worked in the prisons in Northern Ireland as an addiction worker at one point, and we had to go through the SMART recovery training, and I thought that was brilliant. Now, it challenged my thinking in terms of my 12-step recovery program and stuff like that. But I'll tell you something now. I see the stuff in that. I still use some of that stuff today. It is phenomenal. Really, really good,
It's good to, it expanded my thinking too, because we're so bred into one way. This is what worked for me,
Yeah.
Instead of us pushing our own beliefs on somebody else, it helps them to bring them to their own belief, their own pathway, whatever it looks like, So that's
I always loved see the group that I went to in Tenerife. They called themselves the Harbor Group, and I used to wonder why that was called the Harbor Group. And it says because we all come on different ships, and I really like that. I thought that was pretty powerful. That's why they called it the group, because everybody comes on a different ship, with different backpacks, different experiences, different perspectives. You name it, man. But listen. The message of recovery is out there, and it's available to absolutely anybody if you want it.
Yeah, and the fact that we get to share a message that people aren't terminally unique. I had to learn that there's somebody in some fellowship that has been through exactly the same. I'm not special. My story's not the hardest one out there, but I thought it was until I opened my ears up and started listening to other people talk.
Yeah.
And people are already quoting you. There's Tiffany.
Love it, man. That is it. Recovery has been the absolute making of me, and that's the truth, man. That's the truth. That is the truth.
You read it. It sounds better with your accent.
Recovery has been the absolute making of me. Yeah, that's just me. Yeah, that's it. 100%. Cool to the night, Tiffany. Well done. Thank you for that.
Absolutely love that you keep saying how much you love recovery. It really is the most beautiful thing in life after suffering the disease of addiction.
Yeah, it really is.
And
Takes a bit of work day to day. Yep, one day at a time. Yep, but it's well worth it all day long.
so let's see where we're at here. See if we got any powerful ones to throw up here so I don't just waste your time. Oh, here we go. I like this. I got to put Melissa's up here. I can understand you from watching TV. Haha, Sons of Anarchy. Good brother.
Good shit, brother. Yeah.
That's a good friend of mine. I had to read it. That's great.
Yeah, brilliant. Love it.
Yeah. Let's see.
You want to take a couple, Justin?
Yeah, I like this one. This is Amanda meeting people. She does a meeting and that's all pathways, and I think that's really cool. Meeting people where they are, holding the door open to a safe place where there is breath, there is hope. I love that right there. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah. And then we have last time. We have somebody new here. We got Christina. I'm in recovery. This is my first time on this from heroin injecting. The last time I used on 10/30/20. Congratulations. I was there for 5 minutes and I saw my grandfather who had passed 15 minutes ago, and he was waving to me, smiling. And the closer I felt myself getting to him, the further away he got from me and waving me back. If not your time, baby girl. It is as if it's not your time. You know, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you found us. Yeah, it's not our time, man. There's so many times that I freaking should have been dead, but I'm not, and we're here, and that's why it's important to spread this message, of recovery. I just want to say thank you, Darren. I think we can wrap it up for now. I want to thank you, Darren, and hey, man, you ever want to come on a Sunday? We do topics. We have men's night. We have all kinds of things that we do. We'd love to have you on again, to share some experience, strength, and hope, man. It's always a pleasure to have different walks, different people.
Different perspectives.
Yeah.
More than happy to do that, Justin. If you want me on, give me a shout. Let me know. 100%. I'll be there, mate. Yeah.
Awesome. And thank you for the willingness to do this in the middle of the night. And if you tuned in late, it's 2:00 in the morning for him. So
yeah, that's it.
This is the great example of service.
5 to 2. 5 to 2 in the morning. I've booked in a lie-in in the morning. I've booked in a lie-in in the morning.
Well, thank you all for being here, for you guys commenting. We appreciate you all. And if you guys want to check us out this Sunday, we're going to have our topics this Sunday. We all come on here, everybody that's part of the Hope Shot, and we share experience, strength, and hope. If you guys have any topics you guys want to talk about. Also, I have a sign-up sheet. If you guys want to share your story, if you have a story to share, because we all have stories, man, and different walks, the different perspectives, all of it, if you guys want to share your story, I will put the link in the chat. Go ahead.
Happy 7-year anniversary to our own Johnny C. This is the first time we've been on camera, and we want to make sure that we shout out our people. So happy 7 years, brother. We're so proud of you, and we're so proud and just amazed to walk this road with you.
Yeah, I hope he's watching. He better be watching. I know I'd seen his wife.
I don't know if he's watching, but there's no way I'm letting this go by without shouting out our boy.
Thank you, Caesar. Congratulations, Johnny. He is a huge inspiration to so many, especially me. He's an inspiration to me, and it's awesome. So, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, the Ocala, we can't leave him out.
Johnny Cavs.
Johnny Cavs, the Ocala.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for being here. Join us this Sunday, 8 p.m. right here live on the Hope Shot. And you guys are new here. We do this every Wednesday and every Sunday, 8 p.m. here on the Hope Shot, Eastern Time. I'll see you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Love y'all. Good night.
Peace.